everyone, welcome to the lecture number 38 of this NPTEL lecture series on charging infrastructure, and today we will discuss the second part of phase shifted full bridge converter methods and modulations. Operations whatever we were discussing. So we will discuss the second part of that. If we recall, in our previous lectures we have started discussing different modes, where we saw first mode where S1 and S4 the diagonal switches were conducting. Since they were conducting, the Vc4 is actually 0, the Vc3 voltage of the capacitor C3 is V in, Vc1 is 0, Vc2 is V in. Then at t equal to t0, we have removed the pulse from the S1 switch. Since we remove the pulse from S1 switch, in order to ensure IP current to be still be there, because which is nothing but the reflected current from the output load inductor, what happens is that the current will start flowing to the capacitor. In the top capacitor, the current will be going into the capacitor, that means it is charging the C1 capacitor. In the bottom capacitor, it is discharging the capacitor. Here the Vc2 will be discharging from V into 0, and the C1 is actually charging from 0 voltage to some voltage. And if we look very carefully, the VAB voltage is nothing but equal to Vc2 voltage, and Vc2 voltage, since it is falling down, it is discharging, so it is discharging with the slope I1 by C1 plus C2, where I1 is nothing but the reflected current of the IL, and if we consider this to be nearly same as I0, so it is an I0, we can just say that. And since my VAB is falling down, the VR voltage is also falling down in that same manner. And here we can say IP is nothing but IC1 to be nothing but IP is nothing but equal to summation of IC1 and IC2, the current through the C1 and C2 capacitors. And from there we have just calculated the voltage, which will be how the voltage will be appearing across the C1 capacitor, how the voltage which will be appearing across the C2 capacitor. And we saw that at the time period between t1 to t0 is nothing but 2CV in by I1 current we got. And after t01, that means at we can say t equal to t1, what we see is that Vc2 goes to 0. That means if the Vc2 goes to 0, my diode can now turn on. So here at that point my diode turns on, and in order, the moment the diode turns on, the voltage across this switch S2 will become 0, and then you can start giving the pulse to the S2 switch to achieve the turn on of this switch S2 with GVS or 0 voltage. Now here if you look very carefully, so before that S1 was on, then you have turn off the S1 switch and S2 was already off. So during that time there was a dead time, there is no active pulse given to both S1 and S2. So and this dead time, if I can ensure this dead time to be greater than this T01 time, if I can ensure this dead time is greater than T01 time, then I can ensure that the switch S2 goes through ZVS turn on, or you can say soft switching of this S2 will be achieved. And same thing will also repeat after 180 degree, or after after the S2 is off and when S1 is turning on. So we will achieve the same condition after the 180 degree, we can say after TS by 2 period, we will get the same kind of mechanism. And we can say that for the leading leg switches, the ZVS turn on is ensured if we can ensure that time to be greater than 2CV1 by I1. That means the time after which the S1 gate pulse turns off and S2 pulse is given, S2 is given turn on pulse. Then after that what happens, we enter into the mode 3 where my S2 switch is on. So in the leading leg I have already switched over from S1 switch to S2 switch. Now the condition comes when I have to go for the lagging switch. So let's say after at T2 the S4 switch turns off. Because the S4 switch is turns off, what happens is that the voltage across VAB will nothing but equal to minus Vc4, and in minus Vc4, since Vc4 is rising because of the current direction, so we see that the voltage across this VAB is going in the negative direction, which is shown over here. Since the voltage is going in the negative direction, the IP will be falling and it will difficult for IP to catch up with the reflected current of the output inductor, and as a result of which the output inductor has to find a path to flow. That's when DR1 and DR2 gets forward bias. The moment the DR1 and DR2 gets forward bias, the voltage across primary winding is 0 and the entire VAB will be appearing across the L leakage, and as a result of which what we will see is that this L leakage will be resonating with C3 and C4 capacitor, and that's when that resonance is there, and that's when we have derived our Vc4 voltage and Vc3 voltages. Now we can say that at t equal to T3, that means when we reach at this point at t equal to T3, we can say that the T2 to 3, we can say T3 minus T2. At t equal to T3, what happens is that at t equal to T3, if you wanted to ensure that the capacitor voltage of C3 goes to 0, this C3 goes completely to 0, that means the capacitor Vc4, the voltage of Vc4 has to go to Vin, then only I can ensure my Vc3 is completely discharged through this current IP. So we can say that at T3, if Vc3 is 0, then we can say my Vc4 goes to Vin, and then we can write down my T23 to be nothing but equal to, from here we can just calculate, which is nothing but Vin times root 2C by L leakage, 2C by L leakage divided by I2, and that will be sine inverse, and this entire term has to be divided by omega 1. So this is nothing but 1 by omega 1, which will come over here. There is slight typo in the previous thing where omega 1, we have taken omega 1, so everywhere it should be omega 1. So this will be my omega 1, and we know what is our omega 1 value. So from there we will get our T23 value to be this one, and the moment the voltage of Vc3 goes to 0, the diode D3 will get turned on, and if the diode D3 will get turned on, the voltage across S3 switch is equal to 0, and when the voltage across S3 is 0, you will give the turn on pulse to S3, so you will achieve the 0 voltage switching of the switch S3. So this is where at t equal to T3, if we assume our Vc3 goes to 0 and Vc4 goes to Vin, so our T23 value will become something like this. Now comes the mode 4, where the S3 switch need to turn on after S4 switch turned off. So we have to give the dead time. So we can say the dead time period of lagging leg, if I can ensure if the dead time period of the lagging leg switches is greater than T23, that means we can say that dead time of lagging leg is greater than, if we recall this thing is 1 by omega 1 sine inverse Vin by I2 under root 2C by leakage. Now if this condition satisfies, that means if the time after which the S3 switch turns on is greater than T23, that indicates the Vc3 goes to 0, and that's when D3 turns on and switch S3 achieves 0 voltage turn on. For the leading leg, it was, we were getting a very simpler expression, because there we have this L leakage and L both are coming in the series. In this case only the L leakage part is there, because on the secondary side, in order to ensure the IL current, both the DR1 and DR2 is forward biased, DR1 and DR2 is forward biased. That's when they are forward, that's when the VR voltage is still 0. If you see over here, it is still 0. So here what happens is that now your D3 is turned on and your S2 is already on. So now what is happening is that across the VAB, you are now started applying minus Vin voltage. We are now applying minus Vin voltage, and here if you look very carefully, my VAB is nothing but, in the mode 3, if you look very carefully, the VAB is nothing but minus Vc4, and since my Vc4 is charging up, so the voltage is going towards Vin voltage. Here we have drawn a straight line, but it is not a straight line, it is having sinusoidal variation, but for approximations we have drawn a straight line, and similarly for IP also there is slight sinusoidal variation, same as that of VAB variation. So now what we have seen is that the voltage of this VAB was VC3 in the previous mode 3 case. In mode 4 case, the VAB is now, since my D3 is on, so minus V in voltage is started appearing across the VAB. Since the minus V in voltage is appearing across the VAB, the current IP will be falling in, will be falling from, previously it was I1, then it went to I2. From I2, at this point it is falling, linearly, because you are applying minus V in voltage across VAB. And since my IP is very much smaller than this IL, so this DR1 and DR2 is forward bias in order to ensure the inductor current has the continuity. So what we understood in the, in case of leading leg switches, we were having that we have to provide that time greater than T01 in order to ensure the soft switching of S1 and S2 switch. In the lagging leg switches, in order to ensure that time, we must ensure that time of the lagging legs to be equal to T23, and during the T23 period, it is the L leakage which is actually resonating with the C3 and C4. And so the current which is flowing through the L leakage must have that much energy to discharge the C3 capacitor to 0, and that is when turning on the diode D3 and charging the capacitor C4 to V in voltage. So we will see that necessity condition as we go, at last we will see, but during this time we assume that if we are having the, soft switching, we must provide at that time. So this is nothing but this is the that time of lagging switch, lagging leg, here that time of leading leg. So what we are getting is, we got this V in, here V in is there, and this V in is appearing across this, and since this IP is no longer equal to IL, this DR1 DR2 is forward bias, that is when you will see 0 voltage which is appearing across here, and this VAB will only be appearing across this L leakage, and this, because of this thing, this IL which is there is falling linearly, and this they will fall linearly with a slope minus V in by L leakage. Why? Because your DR1 and DR2 is forward bias, that's when the secondary winding is fully short circuited. Since secondary winding is fully short circuited, this at the voltage at this point is nearly 0. The VAB is actually appearing across the only across the L leakage, and we know that the VAB is minus V in, so this will be appearing across the L leakage. So during this mode 4 case, we can write this IP of T, we can say, it is falling from some non-zero value at this value, this point. So let us say this is my IP at T3 point minus V in by L leakage T minus T3. So from this point to this point is a straight line, so we can just write this particular expression, and we know that at, and this continue until IP reaches to 0 at t equal to T4. Further, in this, during this duration, we can also provide, if you look very carefully, after the dead time which is greater than T23 period, we are also giving the gate pulse to S3 switch as well. So now my S3 switch is now on. So what is happening is that during that time, we can say that at, T equal to T4, at T equal to T4, at this particular point, what we will see is that the your IP of T4 is actually equal to 0. That is when we can say that my T43, which you can say that T4 minus T3 is nothing but equal to, I can write L leakage IP T3 by V in, I can write. So this is the time of T3 to 4, and if we recall between 2 to 3, our time was this 2 to 3, and if we do the previous case between 1 to 2, if we take the between so in during the T0 to 1, we have this period, and in 1 to 2 1 to 2 is nothing but the delta period which you are providing, the delta phase shift which you are providing this. So now let us see what is happening at t equal to t4. At t equal to t4, my current which is actually going and reaching to 0 point. Since my current is reaching to 0 point and my S3 switch is on, what happens is that from VAB my minus V in voltage is applied, and so so what happens, the IP will keep on growing again. So this minus is this minus V in voltage is coming over here. This minus V in voltage is coming over here. Since it is already short circuited, the voltage across this is 0. So this voltage is coming across this point at T4, and this continues until from this point this IP current will keep on going, from here it goes to this point and then coming back like this. It keeps on going in a negative direction, and during this point my VAB is always minus V in, and S3 is now on, S2 is already on. So, and since my this thing is there, the IL current, in order to ensure IL current is maintained, the DR1 and DR2 is forward bias, DR1 and DR2 is forward biased, and we can say IDR1 plus IDR2 to be equal to IL. Since both are conducting, secondary is short circuited at this point, it is short circuited this point, from here to here it is 0, and the entire VAB is actually, which is nothing but equal to minus V, is coming across L leakage, Since my S3 is already on, so I do not need to bother about the time during which this thing continues. So this we can say, during this time between T4 to T5, again my current is actually keep on going in the negative direction until it becomes equal to IL current, and that's when my DR1 ceases to conduct, and in the entire DR2 will start conducting. So let us try to find the expression for this thing. So here the winding voltage is 0, still the winding voltage is equals to 0. So the entire VAB is imposing upon this L leakage. So we can write down that IP of T is actually minus V in by L leakage. So this slope is nothing but minus V in by L leakage. The slope is going on T minus T4, which we are having, and that's when we can say at t equal to T5 it keeps on going, and until the point when at this point at t equal to T5, I can say IP T5 is nothing but the reflected current from the inductor in the negative direction. So we can say minus N IL, and here the IL is nearly constant, so we can write N I0. Now during that time, what happens is that since this IL current is now equal to negative of IP current, so that's when my DR1 at t equal to T5 will ceases to conduct, and then it will stop conducting, it will go reverse bias. So during this time we can now write T45, or you can say T5 minus T4 is nothing but L leakage and I0 by V in. So this is the time T4 to 5 we have with us. So we have time T4 to 5, we have time from T3 to 4, we have time from 2 to 3. So we have all the times with us, and we can do the analysis with this. During this time it is minus V in applied, and since both the diodes are on, the VR voltage applied across this inductor is actually 0, still it is 0. And at t equal to T5, what happens is that the mode 6 will start. At t equal to T5, this current is nothing but equal to the reflected IL current from the secondary side, because at this point we can say IP is equal to minus of NIL. Since my current in the primary is actually reflected from IL, so because of this thing DR1 gets reverse biased, and then whatever the current is coming from here is actually we are having the current which goes from here, comes over here, comes back and then goes there. The entire the IL will be nothing but equal to IDR2. The entire current is flowing through the DR2, and since the entire current is flowing through DR2, the VR voltage which is appearing will be nothing but, here it was NV in, so here also it was NV in voltage which will be appearing across this inductor, and then we can do the volt second balance across the inductor and then calculate the how the output voltage varies with respect to the duty ratio D. Here if you look very carefully in this part, see we are turning off the S4 switch here. If we recall our ideal case, exactly at T2 my VR voltage has to come up. The VR will be must reflect the VAB voltage. But since my IP current is not equal to this IL current, the IL current has to find a pathway. That's when both DR1 and DR2 is conducting, the VR voltage or the rectified voltage after this DR1 and DR2 is 0. So that's when this is the place from here to here, this is the place where the duty is actually lost. That means this particular thing has to come from here, this rising has to come from here because the VAB is coming from here, but because of the non-idealities, that means because of the capacitance of these devices, and because we wanted to achieve the ZVS 0 voltage switching of these devices, so we have to lose on something which is nothing but we are losing on the duty ratio. Some duty is lost. That means whatever the output voltage we were assuming, which was V naught equal to N V in times D, will now V naught is N V in times D minus D loss, where D loss is corresponding to the time between, D loss corresponds to time T2 to T5, which is nothing but summation of T23 plus T34 plus T45. So this is the disadvantage with this. Although we are achieving the soft switching of the leading leg, by default lagging leg, if we have sufficient IP current and the L leakage is sufficiently larger, then we will also achieve the ZVS turn on of this lagging leg as well. However, the price which we have to pay is nothing but the actual duty which is getting lost, and that's when our actual output voltage is slightly lesser as compared to what we could have achieved when we do not consider this short switching cases. Now let us see the how this thing will repeat itself after the time. So as of now we have discussed, up till now we have discussed the diagonal switches S1 and S4 is actually changing its state. Now we will see when my S2 and S3 is actually changing my state. So here what happens is that, let us take after this point, the VR is still be there, the IP keeps on going until this point, and let's say and this S1 is still be there here, S2 is still be there here, and let's say at this point, let's say at this point T0, it was T0, so let's say at T equal to T6, what you are doing is, here it is still VR, so at T equal to T6 what we are doing is, here it is V in voltage minus V in which is coming over here, this is here. At T equal to T6 you have given the off pulse to the S1 switch. Since I have given the off pulse to S1 switch, what happens is that this is T6. Now the next timing instance, let's say T7, is when the capacitance C1 and C2 comes into picture in order to ensure the IP is still maintained, which is the negative that of the output inductor current. So because of that, the IP will still be there here, and since this VAB will be falling down, and this slope is nothing but your I1 by C1 plus C2. This slope, with this slope it is falling, and this is still be on at this point, and because this is falling, this will also falls down to this point. However, between T5 to T6 is very large, so this time period is very large, so you can say this is something like this, very large value. Generally this the time distance between T5 to T6 is very large. Okay, and then after that what happens is that since this voltage goes down to 0, the Vc1 voltage is actually 0 and Vc2 voltage reaches to the Vin voltage, and that's when, because since the current direction is reverse, because here the current direction is reverse, so the diode D1 will now be starting, and at that point my diode D1 is starting. So after some point we can start the S1 switch. So this is nothing but my that time of leading leg, and after this my S1 is on. Now the S3 is still on. Since the S3 is still on, and what you will see is that my VAB is 0 during this period, and during this period the current is still going in this direction, let's say from here to from this point, let's say this is a T8, it is going, and VR is still 0 here at this point. Since my VAB is 0, so this is still be 0. Now at t equal to T8, what happens, since my VAB is 0, this VR is also 0. Okay, so at t equal to T8, what you do is you now turn off my S3. So from here to let's say T8, from here to here, this you can say corresponds to delta value. Okay, this is a phase shift. At that point I am turning off my S3 switch. Since I am turning off my S3 switch, what happens is that in the lagging leg S3 switch, so because of that the VAB, the voltage across VAB will be nothing but a minus of Vc3, and at that point what you will see is that the L leakage will be now resonating with the C3 and C4, and as a result of which what you will see is that this voltage, this one is minus Vc3, so this VAB is nothing but equal to Vc3, so that's when the VAB will be rising and it reaches to Vin voltage. And during that time the current is actually having some slope, having some sinusoidal variation. Here also it is rising with some sinusoidal variation, it is rising till this point. And at that point what happens is that the let's say after at this point the Vc3 voltage which is there is actually reaches to Vin voltage, and Vc4 voltage goes to 0. That is when you can turn on your S4 switch again to obtain the ZVS. So that time lagging. Now at that point, since my this is on, so my S4 is on and already my S1 is on, so you are now applying V in voltage from there, and that's when the current will rise equally and reaches to 0 point, which here T9 we can say this is T10. And after this 0, this one is nothing but slope is nothing but V in by L leakage, and after this thing it keeps on after this point, after it reaches at this point, at this place you are still this one is still on, this one is still on, it is still be on, this will be on, and it reaches at this point, where my IP is nothing but reflected value of IL, and as a result of it this will be keep on rising like this with a slope defined by n V in minus V naught by L. With that slope it will be rising, and because of that slope what happens is that this voltage will keep on be 0 at this point, and this point, and since at this point it is equal to this one, at this point my DR2 which was also on will now get reverse bias, and because of that my DR1 turns on, and that's when here I am now having NV in voltage applied across the VR, and this will keep on after T11, it will keep on going, and then after a certain point, after Ts duration, again this will come into picture. However, if you look very carefully from this T0 to T5, these durations, you can say this T0 to T5 durations are very T0 to T5 are smaller duration as compared to a small durations as compared to Ts. this in order to to do it, we have zoomed this particular waveforms. So the same thing we got when we are doing the switching opposite devices, switching, I mean opposite, which is S2 and S3. We are now going from S2 and S3 to S1 and S4 diagonal switches, S1 and S4. So this is how the entire SFB operating modes are there. And if we try to find out the summary, we have in mode 0, we have S1 switch, S4 switch, and DR1 is conducting. In mode 1, you have removed the pulse from S4 switch, so you are now having C1 and C2 switch from the leading leg to coming into picture, and then you have DR1 which will be still be in conduction. In mode 2, so we can write it is D2. Again here my S4 switch is still be there, S4, and DR1 is there. In mode 3, what happens is that my S4 switch is now turned off. Because of that I have D2, and in mode 2 only we will now move from D2. Since D2 is there, we can now give pulse to S2 switch. So we saw that we moved from, in the leading leg, we moved from S1 to S2 switch. In mode 3, what happens is that we now remove the pulse from S4 switch, because we are now have to turn on the S3 switch. So we have now S2 switch, and since the S4 pulses are removed, we have C3 C4 capacitance coming into picture. And since my C3 and C4 capacitance are coming into picture, the VAB will be seeing the minus VC4 voltage, and that's when my IP current will no longer be equal to the reflected IL current. So that's when my DR1 and DR2 is in conduction. Then comes my mode 4. In mode 4, my C3 is completely discharged. So by D3 is conducting, and then it is D3 is conducting, and your DR1 and DR2 is conducting. Since my D3 is conducting, we can now here somewhere we can turn on my S3 switch, as well. So that's when we can achieve this DR1 and DR2. In mode 5, my S3 and S2 is there. My transformer current is keep on falling down, going up to 0. So still my S2, S3, DR1, DR2 is conducting. And finally we have mode 6, where our S2, S3 and IP current is actually equal to the reflected current of the output inductor current. That's when my DR1 ceases to conduct, and that's when my DR2 is in conduction, and that's when we go from S1, S4, DR1 to S2, S3 and DR2 switch. So this is the entire mode of operation of this PSFB. In the other side, it is just the opposite of that, and that is when we can able to understand the functionality of that. In this one, we have seen that in order to ensure my ZVS, we are providing some sufficient finite amount of time to the lagging leg, to the leading leg. Because of that, we are also having some duty ratio loss, which is, we have also seen some duty ratio loss, which is from T2 to T5 duration. T2 to T5, the duty loss durations. Now, if you look carefully, in the leading leg, we have defined the required condition to achieve the ZVS, which is that time of leading leg has to be greater than T01, which is which we can say greater than 2C by 2C in by I1. So that is the T that time of leading, and T that time of lagging is to be greater than T23, which is slightly bigger value, which is 1 by omega 1 sine inverse. If we recall this one, omega 1 sine inverse V in by I2, V in by I2, V in by I2, C by L leakage. This is the term we have. And if we want to achieve this ZVS of lagging switch, we have to provide some finite value of that time in the lagging switch which is greater than T23. These are the required conditions. Here and here are the required condition. Now let us see what is a necessary condition. So the necessary condition for ZVS of, let us say first we will define the leading lag. Now if we look very carefully in, let us say mode 1, if we go to mode 1 and see, in this case what is happening is that my C1 and C2 capacitors are changing its state. That means C2 voltage is falling down from some V in voltage, C1 voltage is rising from 0 voltage, and that is using the IP current which is actually flowing through the series combination of L leakage and L. So we can write down that the energy which is there in the inductor is nothing but L leakage plus L by N square, which is reflected onto the primary side, and this is nothing but equal to I1 square, because we were having the I1 current during that time, and that has to be greater than half C1 V in square plus half C2 V in square. That condition must satisfy, because that energy has to be taken out from the C2 capacitance and has to be put into the C1 capacitor in order to ensure the diode D2 turns on, and once the diode D2 turns on, you have the voltage across S2 switch equal to 0, and that is when you can turn on the S2 switch. Similarly, if we look carefully, the necessary condition for ZVS of lagging lag, during that lagging lag time, if we see very carefully in the lagging lag time, in mode 3 we are talking about, it is L leakage which is coming in resonance with the C3 and C4. So we can write down here in this case the necessary condition is half L leakage times or IP current square times half C3 V in square plus half C4 V in square. That is the necessary condition for this particular scenario. This much energy need to be sufficiently enough to ensure the C3 voltage discharges to 0 and C4 voltage charges to V in. That means in order to ensure this 100% GVS of the lagging lag, again GVS during turn on, I am only talking about during turn on, because turn off automatically, because of the capacitance C1, C2, C3, C4, our switches are going through the 0 voltage switching. So now if we can ensure that during turn on this condition happens, then we can ensure that we are also having GVS of the lagging switch. So out of the leading and lagging lag, the leading lag switches achieves GVS turn on easily as L value is large enough and IL current is reflected load current. However, for the lagging lag switches, since only L leakage is coming into picture, the IP has to be sufficiently large enough, which becomes difficult during light load conditions. So that is why we can write that it has the problem. So that is why this particular system of the lagging lag, again ZVS during turn on, I am only talking about during turn on, because turn off automatically, because of the capacitance C1, C2, C3, C4, our switches are going through the 0 voltage switching or having the limited DVDT, but during this time turn on it is a problem. So now if we can ensure that during turn on this condition happens, then we can ensure that we are also having ZVS of the lagging switch. We have light load condition, that means my IP is that I2 value or IP value is very small, light load conditions, or you can say that small L leakage, or you can say large C3 and C4, or you can say high input voltage or large input voltage. So during that time this lagging lag has problem. However, the leading lag does not have problem, because it is this output inductor is coming in series with this L leakage, and along with that the output inductor current which is reflecting is coming to actually taken out the energy from the C2 capacitor and put in the energy into the C1 capacitor. So, this is the necessary condition for achieving the ZVS of leading and lagging leg. However, the required condition, we know already, the required condition for leading leg is dead time should be greater than T01 time, and for lagging leg the dead time to be greater than T23 time, you know. So, that has to be ensured, that required. So, after ensuring this necessary condition holds true, that condition is required from the person who is actually designing that time. Now, in all the things we have understood that in order to achieve this ZVS, there is a duty loss from T2 to T5 period. So, now let us quickly define the duty loss corresponding to that, and that is when we can end our this lecture. So, we know that we can write our duty loss to be, we can just say D loss to be equal to T2, or you can say T5 minus T2 by Ts by 2 period. Now, this we can just write T23 plus T34 plus T23 plus T43 plus T54 divided by Ts by 2 period, and this value we can put in here. We can take one more approximation that T23 is small values as compared to T43 and T54. Why? Because during T23 we are doing the resonance between L leakage and C1 and C2. L leakage will be in, generally it is tens of microhenry, most of the cases, not always, but most of the cases L leakage in case of high frequency transformer is in tens of microhenry, and our C1 and C2 of, I mean, the output capacitances of the devices are nearly very small. So, the frequency of resonance is very high. So, that is when your T23 is very small period we can take. So, our actual is nothing but T43 and T54. So, this one we can write T225 to be equal to T324, or you can say T43 plus T54, and this we can just write down as L leakage IP during T3 divided by V in plus this thing I can write L leakage IP during T5 divided by V in, and this I know that my IP during T3 is nothing but L leakage by V in. I can take it out. Here it is I2 plus here IP of T5 is nothing but, we can say, N IL at T5 we can say, and this we can just, if we assume I1 is nearly equal to I2 and it is nearly equal to N I0, and IL of T5 if we consider to be N I0 or is equal to the I0, so we can write T225 to be equal to L leakage by V in times, we can write L leakage by V in 2 N I0, and this we can write D loss to be equal to T225 divided by Ts by 2. So, this we can just write D loss is nothing but L leakage by V in into 2 I0 by Ts by 2, and this is nothing but, we can write D loss to be equal to 4, we can write, and again we know that, we also know that Ts is nothing but 1 by FSW. So, we can write this as 4 L leakage N I0 time FSW divided by V in. So, this is what we got. So, what we understood from here, in order to achieve ZVS, L leakage has to be more. Now, if my L leakage is more, my D loss value will be more. And if we look very carefully, so I will lose more D if I will go for good a very large value of L leakage in order to ensure the lagging lag also goes to ZVS during turn on. Here we can also see if my Vin is increased, so my D loss is actually goes down. We can also see that if my I naught increases, my D loss increases. That means for larger loads my D loss will be more. We can say here we will also see that if my if my switching frequency is more, my D loss will also be more. We can say from this particular expression, to achieve, if one wants to have ZVS, of both the legs, they have to compromise on D loss. And we know that my V naught value is nothing but N V in D minus D loss, because that amount of duty is lost. So we have seen that what different modes of phase shift full bridge converter. We have also understood what are the necessary conditions to achieve ZVS turn on of leading and ZVS turn on of lagging lag. We have also seen what are the required conditions, that means what are the required value at that time to be given to achieve the ZVS turn on of leading lag switches and lagging lag switches. And then we have seen that in order to achieve those ZVS, we are losing some of the duty ratio, and we have then also come up with the expression for duty, the amount of duty which is lost. And then finally we have understood all the different modes of operation of PSFB. In the next class, in the next lectures, we will see the closed loop control and other aspect of PSFB. Thank you very much for patiently listening to this lecture.